Hey, loving listeners, welcome to Mind-Blowing Motive, the place where we dive deep into the hidden truths of human behavior and uncover the powerful secrets of the mind. Today's topic is both fascinating and a little dangerous. 5 dark psychology tricks to control anyone silently. Whether you realize it or not, psychology is all around us. Every day, people are influencing you in conversations, relationships, business deals, and even social media. Sometimes it's harmless, like convincing a friend to watch a movie. But other times it's much deeper, more manipulative, and completely silent. This is where dark psychology comes in. It's the art of understanding the hidden desires, fears, and weaknesses of the human mind, then using that knowledge to guide or even control someone without them ever noticing. Now, before we continue, here's something important. This knowledge is powerful, and like any power, it can be used for good or evil. Our goal here isn't to hurt others, but to protect yourself from being manipulated, while also learning how to positively influence situations when necessary. In this video, we'll explore 5 of the most effective dark psychology tricks that can subtly influence anyone's thoughts, feelings, and decisions. By the end, you'll not only recognize these tactics when they're used on you, but also understand how to use them wisely to your advantage. So, stay tuned, and let's unlock the silent power of the mind. Step 1. The power of suggestion, planting ideas without them knowing. Dark psychology often begins with something very subtle: suggestion. Suggestion is one of the most powerful tools to control someone silently because it works directly on the subconscious mind. When you suggest something, you're not forcing the other person to do anything. Instead, you're planting a seed in their mind and allowing them to believe it was their own idea. This trick is used by salespeople, leaders, politicians, and even friends or family members without you even realizing it. Think about it. Have you ever felt like you wanted to do something, but later realized someone had mentioned it casually before? That's suggestion at work. It's like dropping a tiny hint and letting the person's own mind do the rest of the job. For example, imagine you want a friend to invite you to a party. Instead of directly asking, you could say, "I heard the party last year was amazing. I wonder who's going this time." You're not asking for an invitation, but you're planting the idea in their head. Later they might say, "Hey, why don't you come with us this year?" They think it's their idea, but in reality, you guided them there. This works because the human brain doesn't like to feel controlled. If you push someone too hard, they will resist. But if you make them feel like the decision came from them, they will act on it willingly. It's the same reason great leaders don't give direct orders all the time. Instead, they ask questions or make subtle statements that lead others to take action on their own. Here's another scenario. Imagine you're in a meeting at work and you want everyone to support your project. Instead of saying, "We should do my idea," you could say, "I've been thinking about how we could solve this problem. What if there was a way to increase sales by 20% without extra cost? Wouldn't that be amazing?" Notice what happened? You didn't present your idea yet. You just planted curiosity. Now people are mentally ready to accept your solution when you share it later. This technique is also used in advertising. When a commercial says, "You deserve the best," they aren't telling you to buy the product. They're planting the belief that you deserve it. So when you see the product later, your brain connects the dots and convinces you to buy it. Sneaky, right? Here's a question for you. Have you ever bought something and later wondered if you truly wanted it or if someone else made you want it? Think carefully about that, because this is how powerful suggestion really is. To master this trick, your tone of voice and timing are very important. Never sound pushy or desperate. Instead, act casual, almost as if the idea just popped into your head. The more natural you sound, the more the other person's subconscious will accept it. Let's take a relationship example. Suppose you want your partner to try a new restaurant. Instead of saying, "Let's go there tonight," you could say, "I passed by this restaurant today, and it smelled amazing. I wonder what kind of dishes they serve." That's it. Just a small statement. Hours later, your partner might say, "Hey, why don't we try that restaurant you mentioned?" And they'll believe it was their suggestion. One key part of this trick is framing. Framing means presenting information in a way that guides how the other person sees it. For instance, if you want someone to like a certain person, don't say, "You should like them." Instead, you could say, "You know, a lot of people say they're really fun to hang out with." This makes the listener curious and shapes their opinion without direct pressure. This is why politicians use certain phrases repeatedly. They plant ideas about what is good or bad, and over time people start believing it without questioning. Have you noticed how certain words like freedom, security, or change are repeated in political speeches? That's not random. It's carefully designed suggestion. Now think about this. If suggestion can be used against you, how do you protect yourself? The answer is awareness. When someone says something that feels oddly persuasive, stop and ask yourself, "Do I really believe this? Or did someone just make me think I do?" This simple question can save you from silent manipulation. Here's another interesting example. Imagine a teacher wants students to read more books without giving them a direct order. Instead of saying, "You must read daily," they might casually say, "I've noticed students who read at least 15 minutes a day tend to have better grades and more confidence." Students will hear this and naturally want to try it, thinking it's their own decision. To practice suggestion, start small. Test it in everyday conversations. For instance, if you want a friend to choose a certain movie, don't say, "Let's watch this." Instead, say, "I've heard this movie has one of the best endings ever." Then wait. A few minutes later, they might suggest watching it themselves. Before we move on, here's a question for you. What's one time you felt like you made a decision on your own, but later realized someone may have influenced you? Think about it carefully. That's the silent power of suggestion at work. Step 2. The power of silence. Making people reveal their secrets. Silence is one of the most underrated psychological weapons. Most people think that communication is all about talking, persuading, and explaining. But in dark psychology, silence often speaks louder than words. When used correctly, silence can make people feel uncomfortable, create curiosity, and even push them to reveal information they never planned to share. It's like holding a mirror up to their mind and letting them fill in the gaps. Think about this for a moment. Have you ever been in a conversation where the other person stopped talking and the silence felt so heavy that you just had to say something to break it? That's human nature. We dislike uncomfortable silence because it makes us feel exposed. Dark psychology takes advantage of this natural discomfort. Here's an example. Imagine you're questioning someone who you suspect is lying. Instead of saying, "I think you're lying," simply ask a direct question like, "Where were you last night?" When they answer, stay completely silent. Don't nod. Don't react. Don't even blink too much. Just wait. That silence will pressure them. If they're lying, they might start adding unnecessary details, fidgeting, or contradicting themselves. The silence pushes them to reveal the truth without you ever accusing them. This works perfectly in negotiations too. Let's say you're buying a car. The seller gives you a price, and instead of responding, you just look at them calmly and remain silent. Most sellers will feel uneasy and quickly start lowering the price or offering extras to fill the silence. You didn't say a single word, but you controlled the entire situation. Why does this work? Because silence creates a psychological vacuum. People feel the need to fill that empty space with words, and in doing so, they often reveal more than they intended. It's like a game of mental tug-of-war. The first person to break the silence usually loses. This technique also works in relationships. Suppose you're having a disagreement with your partner. Instead of arguing back, try staying silent while maintaining calm, confident body language. The other person will begin to question their own words and may even soften their tone or apologize. Silence in this case acts as emotional leverage. Another way to use silence is through dramatic pauses. Imagine you're telling a story to a group of people. Right before the most important part, you pause and stay quiet for a few seconds. That silence builds suspense and forces everyone to lean in and pay attention. Skilled speakers and leaders use this trick all the time to command respect and focus. Here's a real-life example. A detective once interrogated a suspect by asking a simple question, then sitting completely still for minutes. The suspect grew so uncomfortable with the silence that he eventually confessed, just to break the unbearable tension. That's how powerful silence can be. But remember, timing is everything. If you overuse silence, it can backfire and make you seem cold or disconnected. The key is to balance it. Use silence like a sharp blade, only when it matters most. Here's something for you to think about. When was the last time you felt so uncomfortable with silence that you spoke just to fill the space? How did that moment make you feel, and what did you reveal? By practicing silence in conversations, you'll notice how much control you gain. Next time someone gives you an answer, don't rush to respond. Just wait. Observe their body language, their tone, and the way they scramble to explain themselves. You'll be surprised at how much people reveal when you simply say nothing at all. Step 3. The foot in the door technique. Gradual control without resistance. One of the most effective dark psychology tricks to control someone silently is something called the foot in the door technique. This method works by getting someone to agree to a very small request first, then slowly increasing the size of your requests over time. The beauty of this tactic is that the person doesn't even realize they're being manipulated because each step feels natural and harmless. By the time they notice, they've already done exactly what you wanted. The human brain has a powerful need for consistency. When we say yes to something small, we feel a subtle pressure to stay consistent with our behavior and say yes again, even if the next request is bigger. People like to think of themselves as logical and consistent, so once they've committed, it becomes much harder to back out without feeling guilty or conflicted. Skilled influencers know this and use it to guide others step by step. Here's a simple example. Imagine a charity worker comes to your door and asks, "Would you be willing to sign a petition to help protect local parks?" This seems easy, so you agree and sign. A few weeks later, the same person returns and says, "Thank you for signing last time. Would you be willing to donate just $5 to help the cause?" Because you already signed the petition, you feel connected to the cause and are more likely to say yes to donating. Later, they might ask for an even larger donation, and again, you'll feel compelled to agree because you've already taken previous steps. This same tactic is used in relationships, business, and even politics. A partner might start with a tiny favor like, "Could you help me carry this box?" After you agree, they slowly increase their requests. "Could you help me move some furniture?" Eventually, they might ask for something huge, like planning an entire event for them. And you'll find yourself saying yes because you've been saying yes all along. Marketers are masters at this. Have you ever signed up for a free trial online? That's the first small step. Later, you're asked to upgrade for a small fee. Then comes a premium plan, then extra add-ons. Each step feels minor, but over time, you've spent far more than you intended. Amazon, streaming services, and even social media platforms use this psychology every single day. The key to using this technique is to start very small. If you ask for something big right away, the other person might resist or say no. But if you start with a request so tiny it's almost impossible to refuse, you've opened the door. For example, instead of saying, "Can you lend me $100? Start with, "Can you lend me $5? I'll pay you back tomorrow." Once they say yes, it becomes easier to ask for more later. Here's an interesting scenario. Imagine you want your coworker to support a new idea at work. Instead of pitching the entire plan, you might first ask, "Could you take a quick look at this one page and tell me what you think?" That's a small, harmless request. After they read it, you might say, "Would you mind sharing your thoughts at the next meeting?" Finally, when they're comfortable, you can ask them to fully back your idea. Each step builds on the previous one, leading them exactly where you want. This trick also works brilliantly with parenting. Suppose a child refuses to clean their entire room. Instead of demanding, "Clean your room now," a parent could say, "Can you please pick up those 2 toys and put them away?" Once the child agrees, the parent asks them to pick up a few more items. Gradually, the child ends up cleaning the whole room, and it feels like their own decision rather than a forced order. But here's where this tactic gets even more powerful. Once someone publicly agrees to something, their brain works even harder to stay consistent. That's why companies ask for reviews, testimonials, or social media shares. If you've posted publicly that you love a product, you'll feel pressure to continue supporting it, even if your feelings change later. You don't want to seem like you've contradicted yourself. Let's take a darker example. Cult leaders and manipulative groups use this technique to gain total control. They don't start by asking new members to give up their homes or families. They begin with something small, like attending one meeting. Then they ask for a small donation. Then they ask for a weekend retreat. Slowly, step by step, members are drawn deeper in until they'll do almost anything for the group. By the time they realize what's happening, it's incredibly hard to break free. Now ask yourself this: Have you ever agreed to something small, only to later find yourself doing much more than you ever intended? Maybe you agreed to help a friend with a tiny task, and suddenly you were planning their entire wedding. Or maybe you signed up for a free service, and now you're paying monthly for features you don't even use. Think about those moments. They're perfect examples of the foot-in-the-door technique in action. To protect yourself, pay attention to your own commitments. When you agree to something small, pause and ask yourself, am I saying yes because I really want to, or because I feel pressure to stay consistent? This simple awareness can break the cycle of manipulation. When using this technique yourself, always consider your intentions. If you're guiding someone step by step to achieve something positive, like helping them build a healthy habit or learn a skill, it can be a powerful tool for good. But if you're using it to exploit or deceive, remember that trust, once broken, is almost impossible to rebuild. The foot-in-the-door technique works because people want to be seen as reliable and consistent. It plays on a fundamental part of human psychology. By starting small and gradually increasing your influence, you can gain silent control over someone's actions, and they may never even realize how it happened. Step 4. The power of emotional anchoring, controlling feelings to control actions. If you want to control someone silently, you must understand one key truth. People make decisions based on emotions first and logic second. Even when someone believes they're being completely rational, their feelings are quietly guiding their choices. This is where emotional anchoring comes in, a dark psychology trick that links certain feelings to you, your words, or a specific situation, giving you the power to influence how someone reacts without them ever realizing why. Think about a time when a certain song made you feel nostalgic, or a particular smell brought back a childhood memory. That's emotional anchoring at work. Your brain created a connection between the song or smell and a past emotional experience. Now, whenever you encounter it again, those same feelings resurface automatically. Manipulators use this exact principle, but intentionally, to create powerful emotional bonds and control people's behavior. Here's how it works in real life. Imagine you want someone to feel happy and safe whenever they're around you. Each time you meet them, you tell a funny story, give them a sincere compliment, or share a joyful moment. Over time, their brain begins to associate you with those positive emotions. Even when you're not doing anything special, just being near you will make them feel good. This makes them more likely to trust you, listen to you, and agree with you, often without questioning why. On the flip side, emotional anchoring can be used negatively. Suppose someone wants you to feel guilty or afraid around them. They might consistently criticize you or bring up painful memories whenever you see them. Slowly, your brain begins to link that person with discomfort or shame. Even if they don't say anything in the future, just their presence can make you feel uneasy or anxious. Here's an example. A controlling partner might always act upset whenever you go out with friends. Even if they never directly forbid you, they're creating an emotional anchor. Your brain begins to link going out with friends with feelings of guilt and conflict. Over time, you start staying home, not because you want to, but because you want to avoid those negative emotions. That's silent control at its most dangerous level. Marketers and advertisers are experts at this too. Think about luxury brands. They don't just sell products. They sell feelings. A perfume commercial might show glamorous people at a romantic dinner. The next time you see that perfume in a store, you subconsciously connect it with elegance, romance, and sophistication. Your desire to buy isn't really about the perfume. It's about the emotional anchor planted in your mind. Politicians also use this trick. They tie their speeches to strong emotions like fear, hope, or pride. When they repeat certain words alongside patriotic images or music, they create a powerful emotional association. Later, when you hear those words or see their image, the same feelings return, and those feelings guide your vote. So how do you use emotional anchoring to influence others? It starts with being very aware of timing. For instance, if someone is feeling happy and excited, you can subtly link yourself to that moment. Maybe you say something encouraging or give them a small gift right when they're at their peak emotion. Their brain will remember that high point and connect it with you. Let's say you want a coworker to associate you with calmness and relief. If they're stressed about a project, you step in, offer support, and help solve the problem. The next time they feel overwhelmed, just seeing you will automatically trigger a sense of relief and trust. Over time, they'll rely on you more and more, giving you silent influence over their decisions. This trick is also extremely powerful in romantic relationships. Imagine every time you go on a date with someone, you take them to a fun, exciting place where they feel thrilled and alive, like an amusement park or a concert. Their brain won't just remember the excitement, it will link you to that feeling. Before long, they won't just want to see the exciting places, they'll want to see you, because you've become the emotional anchor for their happiness. But there's a dark side. Some people use negative anchoring to control others through fear. A toxic boss might yell at employees during meetings, creating a connection between fear and the workplace. Even on calm days, employees feel nervous just by entering the office because their brains have been trained to expect danger. This keeps them submissive and compliant without a single word being spoken. Here's a question for you to think about. Has there ever been a person, place, or object that instantly changed your mood, either positively or negatively, without you knowing why? That's emotional anchoring in action. To protect yourself, you must pay close attention to patterns in your feelings. If you notice that a certain person always leaves you feeling drained, anxious, or overly guilty, stop and ask yourself why. Are they intentionally linking those emotions to certain actions to control you? Recognizing the pattern is the first step to breaking free. To create positive anchors for yourself, surround your goals with uplifting emotions. For instance, if you want to build confidence, play your favorite empowering song every time you achieve a small success. Over time, the song itself will trigger feelings of strength and motivation. When you master emotional anchoring, you gain a subtle but powerful form of influence. By connecting specific feelings to your presence, your words, or your actions, you can guide how others react and make decisions without ever giving a direct order. It's like holding the invisible strings of someone's emotional world, gently pulling them toward the outcome you want. But like all dark psychology tricks, it comes with responsibility. Use it wisely, and you can inspire and uplift. Use it selfishly or destructively, and you risk creating emotional scars that may never heal. Now pause for a moment and consider this. Who in your life has the strongest emotional influence over you right now? And are they using that power for your benefit or their own? Step 5. Mirroring. Building silent trust to influence anyone. One of the most subtle yet powerful tools in dark psychology is mirroring. This trick works because humans are naturally drawn to people who are similar to them. When you unconsciously mimic someone's body language, tone of voice, or even speech patterns, you create a sense of familiarity and trust. The fascinating part? The other person often doesn't realize it's happening, but their subconscious mind begins to feel connected and aligned with you. Mirroring is everywhere. Think about friends who finish each other's sentences, or couples who seem to naturally adopt each other's gestures. This isn't coincidence. It's the brain's way of forming rapport. Dark psychology takes this instinct and uses it intentionally to silently influence people. When done skillfully, mirroring makes someone more likely to agree with you, follow your suggestions, and even confide in you, all without realizing why they trust you so quickly. Here's an example. Imagine you're having a conversation with a coworker, and they lean back in their chair while crossing their arms. If you subtly mimic that posture, your coworker will feel an unspoken sense of connection. Later, when you present an idea or suggestion, they're more likely to support it because they feel subconsciously aligned with you. It's like saying, "We're on the same wavelength," without a single word. Mirroring also works with tone and pace of speech. If someone talks slowly and thoughtfully, matching their rhythm makes them feel comfortable and understood. On the other hand, if you rush your words or speak too loudly, it can create friction and resistance. The key is subtlety. Overdoing it will make the other person notice and feel manipulated. Let's take a real-life scenario. You're on a first date with someone and want to build instant rapport. If they take small sips of their drink, you can mirror that action. If they gesture while talking, you can mimic small gestures. Within minutes, they feel an unconscious bond forming. That bond makes them more open, cooperative, and receptive to your influence, all without a single direct command. Mirroring can also help in negotiations. Suppose you're discussing a business deal. If the other party gestures, uses certain words repeatedly, or laughs at certain moments, subtly incorporating those behaviors yourself builds a subconscious connection. They start seeing you as one of them, which increases trust and makes them more willing to compromise or accept your terms. Here's an example in friendship. Imagine a friend tells you they love early morning walks. If you casually start mentioning how you enjoy morning routines too, or even start joining them at a similar pace, they'll feel an unconscious connection. Over time, you gain influence over their choices. They trust your opinions because your behaviors and habits mirror theirs. Parents can also use this technique positively. If a child is upset, calmly matching their tone and movements before guiding them toward a solution can make them more receptive. Instead of conflict, mirroring creates silent trust and cooperation. However, there's a dark side. Skilled manipulators use mirroring to create false intimacy. They mirror your likes, dislikes, body language, and speech to make you feel deeply connected, only to use that trust to influence you for their benefit. For example, someone might mirror your passions or dreams to get you to share personal information, then use it to manipulate or control decisions later. Here's a question for you. Think about the people you feel instantly comfortable around. Did you notice how much you naturally aligned with them? Maybe their gestures, speech, or energy? That's the brain responding to mirroring, even if you didn't realize it at the time. To use mirroring effectively, start small. Focus on subtle gestures, slight changes in tone, or matching speech patterns. Avoid exact copying. It should feel natural. The goal is to make the other person feel understood, aligned, and connected, creating silent influence without confrontation. Mirroring is a silent bridge between minds. When mastered, it allows you to guide conversations, decisions, and actions effortlessly. People feel like they are making their own choices, yet their subconscious has already aligned with your intentions. Now pause and ask yourself, who in your life subtly mirrors you, and how has that affected your decisions or feelings toward them? Recognizing this is crucial. It can help you protect yourself from manipulation or use the power wisely to create positive influence. Mirroring is not just about control, it's about creating understanding and connection. Whether used for influence or protection, mastering this technique gives you one of the most potent tools in silent psychology, the ability to guide someone's thoughts and actions without a single direct instruction. By paying attention to gestures, tone, and pacing, you can silently build trust, influence decisions, and gain cooperation. The power of mirroring lies in its subtlety. When someone doesn't realize they're being mirrored, they feel naturally aligned with you. And that's when real silent control begins. Step 6. Reverse psychology, making people do the opposite of what you say. One of the most fascinating and silently powerful dark psychology tricks is reverse psychology. This technique works by encouraging someone to do the exact opposite of what you say, while making them believe it's entirely their own idea. It's subtle, clever, and highly effective because it plays directly on human nature. People naturally dislike feeling controlled. When someone gives us a direct order, a part of our mind automatically resists, even if we might have agreed with the request in the first place. This is called reactance, and it's a deeply rooted psychological response. Reverse psychology uses this instinct against people by telling them not to do something, which makes them want to do it even more. Here's a simple example. Imagine you're talking to a teenager who refuses to clean their room. Instead of saying, "Go clean your room right now," which will likely lead to an argument, you could casually say, "You probably wouldn't want to clean your room today. It's too much work, and you probably don't care if it looks messy anyway." What happens next? Their natural reaction is to think, "Wait a second, I do care." They'll often clean their room just to prove you wrong, believing it was their decision all along. This trick works because it shifts the balance of control. When people think their freedom is being taken away, they fight to take it back. By suggesting the opposite of what you actually want, you plant a challenge in their mind, and they feel compelled to reclaim their independence by doing exactly what you hoped for. Let's look at another scenario. Suppose you want a friend to try a new restaurant. Instead of saying, "You have to check out this place," you might say, "You probably wouldn't like it. It's a little different from what you usually enjoy." This makes them curious and subtly challenges their identity. They might respond with, "Hey, I like trying new things. Let's go there." You've guided them to your desired outcome without any resistance. Marketers and advertisers use reverse psychology constantly. Have you ever seen a commercial that says, "This deal isn't for everyone, only for people who truly value quality"? That phrasing makes customers want to prove they are the type of person who values quality. Limited edition products or members-only clubs work the same way. When something feels slightly out of reach, people want it even more. Here's a more serious example. A parent might want their child to eat vegetables. Instead of nagging, "Eat your broccoli, it's good for you," they could say, "You probably wouldn't like this broccoli. It's more for adults with sophisticated tastes." Suddenly, the child sees it as a challenge and insists on trying it. Why? Because no one likes being told they can't or shouldn't do something. This tactic can also be powerful in negotiations or leadership. Imagine you're a manager trying to motivate your team to take on a difficult project. Instead of saying, "We need to work harder," you might say, "I'm not sure this project is possible for our team. It might be too challenging." This reverse statement sparks determination. Your team members will want to prove they're capable, and they'll push themselves harder than if you'd simply ordered them to work. However, reverse psychology must be used carefully. If the other person realizes what you're doing, they'll feel manipulated, and the trust between you will break. The key is subtlety. Your tone must sound natural and believable, never sarcastic or obvious. Timing also matters. Reverse psychology works best when the person already has a small desire to do the thing you're suggesting they shouldn't do. If they have no interest at all, the trick won't work. For instance, if someone absolutely hates running, saying, "You probably couldn't run a mile even if you tried," won't suddenly make them love running. But if they secretly want to be more active, that subtle challenge could spark action. Let's explore a real-life story. There was a teacher who struggled to get a shy student to participate in class discussions. Instead of pushing the student to speak up, the teacher said casually, "I know you probably won't have anything to share during today's debate. You like to stay quiet." The student's face lit up, and by the end of the class, they were one of the most active participants. Why? Because the teacher triggered their natural desire to prove themselves, and the student ended up doing exactly what the teacher wanted, without feeling forced. Now think about your own life. Has there ever been a time when someone told you, "You probably can't do that," and you felt an intense need to prove them wrong? That rush of determination is exactly why reverse psychology works so well. To defend yourself against this trick, pay close attention to your emotional reactions. The next time someone says you shouldn't or couldn't do something, pause and ask yourself, "Am I acting because I truly want to, or because I feel challenged to prove them wrong?" This awareness can break the silent control before it takes hold. When used wisely, reverse psychology can inspire and motivate others in a positive way. For example, a coach might use it to push athletes to achieve more, or a teacher might use it to build a student's confidence. But when used selfishly, it can lead to manipulation, confusion, and damaged relationships. Imagine someone planting subtle reverse statements in your mind over weeks or months, making you feel like every choice you make is your own, when in reality, you're dancing to their tune. Scary, right? That's why understanding this tactic is so important. By mastering reverse psychology, you gain the ability to guide others without confrontation. Instead of fighting their resistance, you turn it into cooperation. It's like pulling invisible strings, gently steering someone toward the exact outcome you want. But as with all dark psychology tricks, remember, the most powerful form of control isn't about forcing others. It's about giving them the illusion of freedom, while silently leading them where you need them to go. So here's a final question for you. The last time you made a decision, was it truly yours? Or was someone using reverse psychology to make you believe it was? Final words. Mastering these dark psychology tricks doesn't mean controlling others to harm them. It's about understanding the hidden forces that influence human behavior. From suggestion and silence to emotional anchoring, reverse psychology, and mirroring, each technique shows how subtle actions shape thoughts and decisions. The true power comes from awareness, recognizing when others might use these tactics on you and knowing how to guide situations responsibly. Use this knowledge to protect yourself, build trust, and inspire positive change. If you found this video insightful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Mind-Blowing Motive for more life-changing tips and motivational strategies. Stay aware, stay powerful,